to try to not take up forever, and I apologize if my background is not beautiful. This is real life, people. But I am so honored and privileged to get to share with you guys what we got to learn in Seaside, Florida about limiting beliefs and expanding the way you see yourself. Hey, I see some people hopping on. Hey, Tabitha, hey, Liz. And this is a very, very powerful topic, and it's obviously very, very, it's not a one-stop shop. Hey, good, I'm glad you're excited. So if you're watching this, I want you to go grab an oil, okay? The number one thing that we are talking about is the law of attraction and our vibration and our frequency, and we have tools to help us with that. I've got me some Northern Lights Black Spruce that I've put on. I'm gonna put a drop on the top of my head. I've already put on, and it won't mess up my hair, it'll just look pretty. And I've already put on my rose roller. I made this last year at a class that we did with Cindy and just got really motivated. It's got rose oil in it. It's got cedarwood in it. It's got a lot of really high frequency oils. Northern Lights Black Spruce is in here. If you haven't seen, we're giving these away this month, but that rose oil has really high frequency, so it helps me to raise my own frequency. Hey, good morning, Casey. Another really good one is called Build Your Dream. This is an amazing oil. I'm gonna smell that and get my energy up. Clarity is another really good one. Okay, so we were able to sit and be just poured into last week. I can't believe that was a week ago. Maybe even, yeah, a week ago, by the amazing Melissa Pepping. If you guys don't know who Melissa Pepping is, she is the creator of Savvy Minerals, and she's also a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living. She's been with this company for quite a while, and she is just a firecracker. When you meet her, she makes you feel like, you know, the most important person ever. And I love that she was able to share more than just makeup with us, because this part was probably my favorite thing. And I've heard a lot of this information before, but just hearing it from her again really, really encouraged me. And so if you're a mom, if you're a business person, if you're doing Young Living as a business, or you really want to understand this is life-changing. This doesn't just have to be just for, you know, becoming a Royal Crown Diamond, but it is very, very applicable to that. So we talked about the law of attraction, and we talked a lot about self-image. So get your notes out if you want, put your oils on. I'm gonna put on some clarity so I can remember exactly what it is that I wanna tell you from what she shared with us, because I was kind of a hot mess during this session. So I'm breathing that in, getting that into my limbic system. It's gonna help me recall some of the stuff we learned that day. So the first step to expand outside of a limiting mindset is to understand this one thing. And I've shared this before. You will never outperform the self-image you hold of yourself. Never. And I've shared it, John Maxwell shared it, the other people have shared it, and I've seen it in myself. I've seen it in other people that I've tried to work with, that they just can't see themselves in a different place than they already are. The only limits in our life are those we impose on ourselves. And this is from Bob Proctor. Melissa Pepping has actually studied under Bob Proctor in the Proctor Gallagher Institute. If you don't know who that is, go YouTube. He is amazing. I've listened to several of his things this morning just to get my energy up to be able to share with you guys. But if you ever saw The Secret, he had a lot to do with that. He's written a lot of books, a lot about the law of attraction. He's actually who brought that out. And he says the law of attraction is actually a secondary law from our universe. That's what God created it. And it's so good to hear people talk about the things that are, like, we have the law of seasons, right? We can't change the way that the seasons fall. Even if you live in Texas, they still happen. It's the same thing with the law of attraction. But a lot of that first starts with the law of frequency and vibration and what you resonate and out of you. So the way you feel about yourself at this moment has set a boundary for the person you can become. You can't see that boundary, but you can definitely feel it. It's a restriction you're imposing on your own life, a limit for the best that you can be, no matter how far you want to go. The way you actually see yourself sets an unbreakable boundary. And John Maxwell talked about this too. If you want to succeed at a level 10 and your goals are like way up here, but you can never see yourself there, or you are constantly doubting who you are and the abilities that God's given you, you'll only ever make it to that. That'll be your cap forever. That's as far as you'll go. If you have a negative mindset about you or the people around you, your family, the people you're working with, that's as far as you'll ever go. So how do you reach your goals if the boundary falls short of the vision? Okay, so this is called limiting mindset, or erasing limiting mindset, the law of attraction, all of that stuff. You have to expound the boundary, not diminish the vision. So a lot of times, and what we'll do is we'll get really excited, like say you're going to do Young Living as a business, okay? Or say you have made a choice and you're wanting to run a, like a marathon, an actual full marathon. And you get excited, but you can't see yourself past it. You'll maybe train for a little bit, but unless we change our image of what we think we can do and we can achieve, we'll go back to not doing it. So we'll go back to not exercising or not training for that. It's the same thing with this as a business with Young Living. If we can see ourselves becoming an RCD, not just a diamond, then if we can't see past where we're at, we'll get excited about it, but if we don't change the self-image that we have of ourselves and where we're going, we'll just go right back to where we were in the current reality that we live in. So good, right? Okay. So most people go about this the wrong way. You want the goal, you want the dream, but you forget about the most important factor, you. And Melissa Pepping talked about this. She says a lot of times we don't feel worthy of the vision that we have in our heart. And we don't feel like we can achieve those things. And she says, you'll never expand past the way you're thinking about yourself or your team. We had to do an exercise, and I want you to do this too. If you're doing this as a business, Young Living as a business, or if you're doing your own business, if you are like a business person at home, or even a mother or a wife, and you want to see your family grow into a certain area that God's calling you to, you have to see it first. You can't just be walking blindly. You have to see where you're going. So she said that we have to look at the things that we meditate on and look at the things that we think about others and ourselves. And I love, there was a really cool, and this has nothing to do with this session that we sat in. I think it was Madison Vining in the 12 Days of Diamonds talked about backwards diamonding, right? Seeing who you want to be at the end and working backwards from that. It's the same thing here. If you can't see yourself where you're trying to go, if you really can't believe that you're worthy of that and that you are capable of that, then the law of attraction says you're not going to attract the things to you to achieve that. You're actually going to attract the negative things to yourself. The things that say I can't, the things that say I won't, I will never achieve. Super powerful, so powerful. And that's not something that is made up, and that's not something that's just like a slogan. That is a universal law. It exists in our universe. It exists in our life. Like this is, God created the earth and he created the laws that exist here, and we are subject to those things. We either use them towards what he's called us to do, or we become a victim of not understanding that, okay? All right, so to reach your goals, you need to increase the value you hold of yourself and expound the boundary you've set. So we have to expound our boundaries. You know how scary this is? You know how hard it is to dream bigger than what you think you can do? I'm gonna cry. It's hard. You know why? Because we have self-image, okay? We have our self-worth. And we talked a little bit about this, but I want to go into it just a little bit. Your self-image is something that has, and I wrote notes on this from, the white balance is acting crazy. So our own image, our own image of who we are, it's unconsciously formed from past experiences, successes, triumphs, failures, and humiliations, all the things that have happened maybe in our life. It determines the way we interpret other people's reactions to us. So everybody's is a little different based on the circumstances with which they were raised, the things that they came through as in those formative years as children, the things that we continually perceive. Our self-image is our life governing device. It is one of the most important things that we have is our image of who we are. And so many things come against that based on our experiences. And they are subconscious things. They exist in the subconscious part of your mind. It's not necessarily like, I'm like, okay, I'm a failure, and you say it all the time. Maybe you do, but it's more internal dialogue. And sometimes it comes out and we're like, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be, you know, what am I trying to say? I don't deserve to be wealthy, or I don't deserve to be successful at what I'm trying to do. I don't deserve that. And something deep down inside of us that's grown. And she talked about this. So how do we change this image of not being enough? And so we get pulled back into that same rut, right? We had this little workbook that we went through, and it was super powerful and very raw. So I'm going to have you guys do this on your own, but take note, okay? You got to be raw and honest with yourself if you're going to expand past the limiting mindset that you have, okay? It's hard. It's not easy. It might take a lot of oils, and it might take a lot of prayer, and it might take a lot of quiet time. But when you get really honest with yourself and really vulnerable with you and nobody else, and you really examine what it is that's been running rampant on the inside of you or in your unconscious part of your brain, it gets pretty clear. And sometimes it takes time. But so here are the things that we had to write down. So I want you guys to do this. Take note of it, and you can do it later. Write this down. What are the character traits you do not like about yourself? What do you not like about you? What is it? Where is that coming from? What is it? Write it down. Be very honest. Now, how do you think others feel about you and think of you? That's the harder one for a yellow personality like me, because we want everybody to like us. And so we're constantly examining whether or not someone likes what we did or didn't like what we did. Okay, so you're going to write those things down on your own time. You can do it right now if you want to. You can do it later. All of these things you think you feel about yourself and you think others feel about you are all based on that past experience. All of it. Some of it's not even true. Some of it's big, fat, bold-faced lies. Okay, along with the things you gather around you in the present, like social media and friends. These are the limitations that you have accepted that don't belong to you. Repeat which things, Amanda? What you're supposed to write down? Okay, so you've got to be raw and honest. Get quiet with yourself and write this down. What are the character traits you do not like about yourself? Now, how do you think others feel about you and think of you? That's hard. What do you think others think of you? Really write it down. Put it on paper. Get it out of the unconscious mind and put it out in front of you. This is how I think people think of me. All of these things you think you feel about yourself and you think others feel about you are all based on past experiences, along with the things you gather around you in the present, like social media and friends. These are limitations that you have accepted. They don't actually belong to you. You've accepted this as truth. You've accepted this as the reality that you live in. When you spend years letting other people tell you what you cannot accomplish, you start to believe it. I saw a commercial during the Olympics. This has nothing to do with her talk. And it had, I don't even remember what it was about, but it was so good. I was like, this is it. And it was kids, right? It makes me cry. It was kids trying to like swim or trying to walk or trying to do things. And it says, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't. And that was the word. By the time we're an adult, we've heard the words you can't 3 times, maybe 5 times as many times as the words you can. So that is something that we have accepted as truth in our mindset about whatever. You can't run a marathon. You can't lose weight. You can't grow a business from home. You can't homeschool and have a healthy family and have a successful marriage and have a business that earns, 6 figures. You can't. Those are the things that we have accepted as truth, okay? And so she had us do this little, I'll write this here, this little activities with those things that we wrote down. And we had to examine that and look at it and look at what that means. You start to believe that those things are true. You start to believe the things that you think about yourself and the things that you think others think of you, whether it's true or not, as truth. And what does that do? The law of attraction says you begin to make those things into reality. You begin to attract the truth that you're looking for in the world, through other people, through what you see. Brene Brown says, if you go out looking for people to acknowledge that you're not worthy, you're going to find it. If you go out into the world looking for people to tell you that you're not going to be able to do something, you're going to find it. But if you can change what you have accepted as truth and say, I'm going to find the people that are going to say, I can do it, guess what? You're going to find them too. You're going to find them. It's all based on what you plant in that part of your brain, that unconscious part of your brain and your body that creates the things that grow from you. So here's a little really cool, I can't spell, so I'm not going to spell this whole thing. I can, right? Conscious mind. Okay, so she had us, after you wrote those things on your paper, it's critical to your success that you change the way you think about yourself and the way you think others feel about you. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in this to do a business with Young Living, this is the biggest thing to work on. This is almost more important than IPAs, in my opinion, because once, not more important, but equally important, because once you get to a place where you are a leader and you are seen as a leader, this is the thing that will hang up. And this is what will keep you from getting to that place, is the critical voice that you see and not growing past that and not making yourself better. So she says, your thoughts set up false circumstances, giving you a false personality and imposing false limits. You've set limits in your unconscious mind about who you are and where you're going. These past experiences, limitations, belief systems of others that you have absorbed as your own are reinforcing the image you hold of yourself. So it's like, and I talk about this as like a spiritual thing too. You're going to find something to reinforce what you already believe is true, right? And if you're, okay, I suck at personal development, or I suck at talking to people, you're going to have people, you're going to attract the voices back to you that say, yep, you're not any good at this. I'm going to tell you how to work on that in just a minute. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. You're going to keep seeing the same thing happen over and over again, and you're never going to break free of that negative thing that's been implanted in your unconscious mind. So, did you know, hold on, I'm going to tell you this first. So let's look at this for a moment and really rip it apart. We need to identify each negative modifier on your list. So if you've made that list, if you're just hopping on, I had everybody make a list of the character traits you don't like about yourself and how you think others feel and think about you. All of it. You've got to tear it apart. Take out your highlighter and mark each negative word you wrote down. Which ones are negative that you wrote down about you? Reread it and make sure you got them all. Right, every single negative one. And this might be something you're going to have to go back and watch later and do when you have the space and the time to do it. But I really want you to look at this. Words like can't, won't, doesn't, fat, slow, horrible, disrespect, not, none, trying. I hate the word trying. And I say it too. I'm trying. No. Say like Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try, right? Not trying. Drama, hate, weak, terrible, dislike, alone, and so on. Melissa said when she was giving us kind of her background, she gave this to us to fill out, and then she kind of expounded on it when we talked in person. And she said that she was talking to one of our team members, and they said, I only have a team of 150 people. I'm just an executive. She was like, who ever told you that that was a small or large thing? Who put the value on who you are? You did, or you picked that up somewhere in your unconscious. So if you're doing this as a business, you picked that up somewhere. I'm just a star. Quit saying just. She goes, I hate it when people will call, and she goes, how many times do you do this? And someone answered the phone, you're like, oh, it's just me. Just you. You are you. There's nobody else like you. You are you. It's not just anybody. It's not just Jessen or just Anna. It's you. You are amazing, and you are created in the design of an infinite creator. You are the highest creation that God ever made. You're not just anything. So we have to get rid of that limiting mindset of who we are if we're ever going to do the things that God has put in our hearts, okay? Woo! I think I put on too much oils. Oh my gosh. Okay, so stop saying just. Give the size of your team or your business or your family or your purpose value, positive value. I am growing a foundation and I have 150 members on my team, or I have 5 amazing members on my team. Who decided what is less or more? She says that we do the same thing with money. This was my favorite example. She goes, we are the ones who have given money value based on what? And this was so good. She goes, $1,000. Who decides whether $1,000 is a lot or a little? We do. She goes, 1,000, and she gave this example, but it doesn't pertain to me because I'm not into shoes like this. So I changed it a little bit. Me and Trisha talked about it, but $1,000 is not a lot of money if I'm trying to book a vacation, right? But $1,000 is a lot of money if I'm going into a candy store and I can spend $1,000. Stop putting the value on a lot, or money has the value of who's holding it and what they're going to do with it and how they're going to use it. It's the same thing with your team and your resources. Like if you say, well, I don't have that many resources because I live far away. No, you can make resources based on the value of what you're holding, right? Right? Okay. And you feel that? That's your frequency going up. If you feel empowered, if you feel like this passion is brewing on the inside of you, that's your energy going up. That's this potential that's coming up inside of you. Take note of that, okay? Quit saying just and only. Quit saying, I am just this, or I'm only that, or I can only do so much. No, change the way you're thinking. She says at the end, like when Melissa Pepping hit Royal Crown Diamond, she said that she was in a group, and some of us are in these groups, right? If we're doing the business, we see this group of people in the same, cross line as us, same rank or same lifestyle. And I do it even with homeschool moms, and we do that thing of comparison that sucks so bad and sucks the life out of you because you are different from everybody else, and your team is different from everybody else, and your skill set is different from everybody else. But yet we sit and we make, and she says, this is what happened to her, or tried to happen to her. She says, I was in the diamond group, and they were asking, how many diamonds did you have when you hit RCD? How many members did you have? Which that is great for a logical standpoint to have a goal to work towards. And the greens are like, yes. But sometimes our logic will totally shut down our ability to use our imagination and to imagine past what is the standard. She said they were listing all this stuff and how many members. She said, I had to get off of there. She goes, do you know how many diamonds I have when I hit RCD? 0. She's a Royal Crown Diamond with this company. If you don't know what that means, I'll explain it in another video. It's a huge thing. And she had 0 diamonds underneath her. She said it was 2 days to the end of the month and she had 80,000 OGV to come up. That's a lot, right? Or is that a lot? That's me putting a value on it. She says, instead of me emotionalizing with, well, it's not going to happen, because she said, I sat, she goes, whenever you feel that thing come up and it's like, oh, that looks too big, that looks too scary, that looks like too much, instead of putting the value on how hard something is, get quiet and let creativity flow. Let your imagination jump in there. Okay, this is what I've got. This is what I can do. I've got 2 days. Instead of emotionalizing with the negative, like, it's not going to happen. Nope, I'm just going to check out, peace, later, maybe next time. That's not how we ever achieve anything. That's not how we get to where we're heading. That's not how we get to where God's taking us and the goals that we're trying to accomplish, okay? So she said she got quiet and she got an idea. And she ran that idea and crushed it in 2 days and was able to say, I have achieved the rank of Royal Crown Diamond. So that is where we're heading with this limiting mindset, right? Quit saying just only. Quit emotionalizing and allowing this stuff to come out of you that you go ahead and shut down. You're shutting all of the purpose down in you because you're, emotionalizing with it. Oops, someone's audio messaging me. Okay, so moving on. Did you know that your brain cannot discern between fact or fiction? I've taught this before. Your brain doesn't know what's real and what's not real. Your imagination is what separates you from every other thing that God created. You are the only, I'm going to cry again. You are the only creation that is like Him in your ability to create from what you can conceive in your mind. So when we start to shut that down or allow the negativity to override that, then we are actually shutting down your God-given ability to do things on this earth. The Wright Brothers, you guys know who the Wright Brothers are? The Wright Brothers were not scientists. They were not brainiac men. They were bicycle repairmen who had a vision, had an imagination of seeing a bicycle fly. And they took that imagination and they did not allow the negative, I'm sure they had a lot of negative voices come up, but they kept going. They kept going until they invented something. Everything that you see that's been created came from the imagination of a man or a woman because they thought outside of the box. They thought bigger. They didn't emotionalize. They didn't rationalize with their failure. They did it, okay? That's what I want to see every person in this team and in my life do. I want them to feel that come off of me when they meet me. I want them to know that it is possible, okay? Your brain can't discern between fact or fiction. It's true. What you tell yourself, you will believe. So if you tell yourself, I am never going to do anything, guess what? That's what you're going to believe. If you tell yourself, I'm going to bring in a 6-figure income and I'm going to bring my husband home from this job and I'm going to be able to travel the world with my children, guess what? You act it until it happens. Your body and your brain begin to believe it's true. So my favorite thing, I can't even tell you. How many years have you been brainwashing yourself into believing you are less than you really are? Like your whole life, probably, unless you had amazing parents. And even then, we hear the voices of everyone else. Okay, she said, don't waste time on that. We're moving on. Take a look at that self-image statement again. I am confident that everything you wrote is exactly what life has delivered to you. Right? That self-image statement about who you are. Woe, the thing I fear has come to visit me. That's Job from the Bible, right? He said, woe, the thing that I feared the most has come upon me. He had visualized negative things. He had visualized trauma, and those things actually were, it's the law of attraction as well as a spiritual principle, right? So powerful, guys. So she says, when she did her self-image statements, I looked at the final words and sat in pure disgust. It took me back to such a dark time in my life when I had nobody who believed in me. Y'all, did y'all know Melissa Pepping has, and we're going to talk about this really quickly because I don't want to talk too long, but I love this so much. I could like talk to y'all all day. Her own mother has not spoken to her in years. Her, like most people's biggest cheerleader. Someone said to her, and I saw this in another video, when she came out with the Savvy Minerals line, your mother must be so proud of you. And she did a live video and she was like, she's not even talked to me. That's what someone like her has pushed through to get to where she's at now. And it's not been easy and it's not been pretty. And it won't be because you have a lot of stuff to dig up. She says, over and over, I would hear the words, you can't, you won't, you could never, you don't deserve. I remember being 5 years old and hearing these exact words told to me. Nobody loves you. Nobody wants you here. Golly. To say I had a massive self-image statement overhaul is an understatement. But this is the thing that will grow you and your business. This is the thing that will actually cause you to succeed. It's you. It's not about all the other stuff. There is a world waiting for you to share your story. There's a world waiting for you to talk about Young Living and oils and wellness. But if you can't see you, how are they ever going to see you? How are they ever going to see who you are and the things that you can offer if you don't believe it yourself? Okay, she says, it's taken me years to find strength and validation in everything I do. To rise up out of self-worthlessness to total boss babe conviction is proof that you can do the same. Okay, so she says she wants you to write down 10 things you intended to accomplish last year but didn't. Y'all, I still haven't even filled this out. I don't want to, but I'm going to because this is part of our thing, right? And then after you do that, you're going to look at all of those things that you could have done or you intended to do last year but didn't, and ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident were you that you could obtain that goal with no fear, no doubt, or worry? That's the hardest part. It's the emotional part of it that makes it hard, right? I'm afraid of what people will think. I'm afraid if I ask too many people, they'll think I'm doing this. I'm afraid I'm going to leave my family behind. I'm afraid I'm going to neglect my children. Worry, 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 worry. Chances are you didn't score very high if you rated 1 to 10, right? Isn't it amazing what fear can keep you from? Yep. I'll black and white that for you. It keeps you from living the life you deserve. Fear. Fear and love. Fear and love. There was one thing that when she was talking, and this is actually a lot more detailed, and she has a new book called Before Beauty, and this is a whole chapter in this book. I'm just kind of reading it for you. But when she talked to us, it was more personalized. This is actually from her, but I really wanted you guys to hear this. She talked about how we have to be aware of the things that we bring into our mindset, okay? And she had us draw this circle. So a lot of this stuff, you know, is stuff that's in us that we're working on. But the other thing is, and this is from a Proctor Gallagher, I'm fixing my hair for y'all. There's a split second between when something happens and between when we do something about it in our life. We either respond or we react. It's like a millisecond, like milliseconds, right? We can either respond or react. We have the ability to accept or reject anything that comes into our conscious mind. I've taught this for years, and yet I'm still a student of it because I still need help here too. So she had us draw this circle, and mine's ugly, so just bear with me. Hopefully you can see it. It's not a real pretty circle. Circle. This is your thought life, right? This is your conscious mind. This is your unconscious or subconscious mind, right? The part that is beneath the surface, the part that doesn't know truth from fiction, doesn't know make-believe from reality. And then at the top, she had us draw these little like telephone poles. And those are everything that you see, the things that you hear, social media, the passive-aggressive statements, the things that you are receiving, the stimuli that you're receiving from the world around you. And some of that is, you know, the way we perceive it because of self-image. It might not even be what we think it is. Once it comes into the conscious mind, you have the ability to accept or reject any of that. You can say, no, I'm not going to believe that about myself. No, I'm not going to allow that to come in. For some of this is a lot harder because of that self-image statement, because we've got a lot more baggage that we're working on from childhood or from last week, you know, I don't know. But she says if you will begin to, and this is a practice thing. This is something that you have to practice every day of your life and teach your children the same thing. It will change them. It will change the trajectory of your family if you can teach this principle. Once it gets into the conscious mind, there's a line. If you don't reject it, if you just let your thoughts, that's why it says take every thought captive. That's why the scripture says take every thought captive. Does this line up with what God's purpose is for my life? No. Then I'm going to reject that. That's not truth about me. I'm not XYZ. I'm not a terrible leader. I'm not lazy. I'm not whatever the lie is that you're believing. If you don't, then what happens is it goes down to that unconscious part of your mind. This line right here, you don't want it past that, okay? If it gets down to that subconscious, it's like a seed. Once it's down there, you're going to have to let it grow. There's so much. Please leave this up forever. I will. I'm saving this too, so I will have it on YouTube and you guys can go back to it and go back to it and go back to it. But once it goes down to that unconscious part of your mind, it's like a seed that grows. A seed pulls, and this was Bob Proctor. I listened to more of this because I wanted more of this. But once it gets down in there, that seed, it's part of you. And that's what you're attracting to yourself, is the lie that someone said over you or the lie that you said over yourself. He said in this, and I went and listened to it because she said to, episode 2 of Gallagher Proctor Gallagher Institute is phenomenal. It's like this short. When you plant seeds in the universe, right? I could plant a corn seed right next to planting a nightshade. Nightshades are like tomato plants. They each will pull from the soil different things. They'll each pull different nutrients, different minerals, different things to make their seed turn into the fruit that it was called to be, right? It's the same thing with your thought life. It's a law. It's the law of attraction. It's the law of what goes in must come out. It's the law of sowing and reaping. What you sow, you will reap. What you do not sow, you will not reap by default, right? So if you're not sowing things that are positive, that are going to attract positive things to your life, guess what? You're growing all that negativity. Guess what's going to be fruitful in your life? Negativity, failure, bitterness, all of this. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to come through the screen. So reject it. Don't allow these, like the telephone poles. You're always getting stimuli. You're getting it from social media. Maybe you read someone's comment incorrectly. I've done this 1,000 times, y'all. If my mindset is off because I've got all this stuff and I feel it, I feel low, I feel my frequency is off, and someone texts me and they don't mean it in any way, but my mind is in a different place, I will read it as judgment or criticism, and it's not. That's not their intention. That's why I voice text all of y'all. That's why I send you my voice, so you can hear the energy in my voice and what I'm saying, because so many times I have received things that were not meant towards me, but then I internalized it and I allowed it to be grown down in the subconscious. Crazy bananas. Okay, so deep breath. I need some more oils. Okay. Here's this part of what she said too. She said for 3 years she was positive that she was going to reach the top rank in her company, but she always came short of the goal. Always fell short of that goal. Why? Because she couldn't see herself there. This for me was huge at this whole thing. I realized for the first time I have never actually seen myself as a Royal Crown Diamond. I've only kept it at Diamond because that seemed safe and attainable. I can never see myself as Royal Crown Diamond, or even whatever else that means. Like once that happens, then what? Then what does God have for me? What are the purposes in the things that He's planted inscripted on my heart that I can't even see yet because I can't see past the lies that have been planted in my unconscious? Okay. She was too worried about how others would react if she actually achieved that goal. She was too worried if they would celebrate with her or would they be happy for her. The looming weight of envy and disharmony was too overwhelming. She says, I settled for less to keep the peace. How many times have you done this? I'm just going to settle for staying at this place because I don't want anybody to get upset around me. No. You could be hindering them from actually achieving the same thing. The white balance in the background is driving me bananas. That's why I keep moving like that. Except I would have been where I deserve to be for my family. She says, I could have won my race and ended up with the same relationships, right? Except I would have been where I deserve to be for my family and my legacy. I just wanted validation and harmony. We're always looking for validation. That's the thing she also said when she was talking to us. She was like, why do we always need to be validated by other people? Why is it not enough that the audience of one, and this is me putting my perspective in here and my perception, why is it not enough that the audience of one, the Bible says that He gives us the desires of our heart. And my dad used to teach this. Instead of saying, yeah, I'm going to give you what you want, which is one interpretation, I'm the one putting it in you. You didn't have this oil, but I gave it to you. So I gave you that desire before you knew you had it. He gives us the desires of our heart. So why do we need other people's validation to do the things that He gave us to do? We don't. But yet we sit and we compromise our greatness based on other people saying, oh, that's a great idea. And so I'm going to give you a tool for that right now. This was something that she shared with us in a seminar thing here in Texas several years ago. I was an executive at the time, really working hard. Hi, Charlie. And this blew my mind. This was something that has stuck with me, and I think it will stick with you too. Okay, so I want you to draw 3 circles. 1, 2, 3. Okay? When you have these desires, when you have this, when you start to work through this self-image and you figure out, hey, there's more to me than what I have believed. I've not given myself enough credit. God has called me to do greater things than what I have allowed to be like this is what my standard is. No. When you start to really get to that place and you get big dreams and they're scary. She said something too. She was like, you know what's really awesome? We don't have a billboard on our chest that lets everybody know the crazy dreams that we have. We don't have to walk around with people going, that's dumb. You're never going to do that. So she goes, so why then do we feel like we have to tell all the people who are not going to believe in us? We don't need to be validated by them. So draw 3 circles. This first circle, I want you to put all the names in that first circle of the people that you say, I'm going to become a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living. I'm going to do multi-level marketing. I'm going to make money and stay home and be with my kids and family and travel the world and go to the beach for 3 weeks and you know, take vacations whenever I want to. I want you to write anybody in that circle that if you were to say that to him would laugh at you or make you feel less than, or say that nobody ever makes money with that. And it might even be people close to you. It might even be friends. It might be family. It might be your spouse. It's a lot of our spouses at first, because you know why? Men usually think with the logic part of their brain and women don't always. And so you have to, and she says, when you put them in that circle, that means you don't share that information with them. Not because you're being mean, not because you're being hateful, but because when someone pours their doubt on a dream that is still a baby, you have a baby dream, it's a little seedling, it's like pouring gasoline on that little plant. Any time that something doesn't work out towards that dream, guess what's going to happen? You're going to remember what they said. You're going to see their face when you told them and they're like, oh, she's crazy. Don't tell them those things. You still, I love this too. She goes, you don't unfriend them on Facebook unless they're like super toxic, and they're not really close friends. But your family, you can't cut them out forever. But you are guarded. It's like the pearl of great price, or it's like the you know, like you don't, what is it? I know I can't think of the scripture. Don't give everybody everything that's in you, because they might just stomp on it, and you don't want them to stomp on it. Keep that guarded, and you always leave an impression of increase on those people. Show them what God's doing with this business with you, or the things that have grown in your life. I had to deal with this with homeschooling, y'all. Homeschool is like a hard thing to tell people. They like want to look at you like, well, what about college? And what about this? It's the same thing, same principle. So you just don't tell them those things. You keep it guarded. You leave an impression of increase. You let your kids recite the preamble to the Constitution to them. Like you just leave that positive thing with them, but you keep it guarded. Circle 1 is, and you thought of somebody right away that maybe did that to you already. And once you know, right? And you shut that voice out. Change the subject. Don't talk about it with them. Circle number 2. Circle number 2 are the people that are like, oh, good for you. That sounds great. But they have that edge in their voice and that passive aggressive, well, yeah, you know, and they're kind of like for you, but they're not really like on your team. They are, you know, they'll cheer when you're winning, but they're not really like for you, jumping up and down like you can do this. That's circle number 2. Be very careful with circle number 2, because they're watching. And a lot of times they're in circle number 2 because of their own self-doubt, because they could never think past the current situation that they live in. So why would they think that you could do it too? And they're watching you. And as you begin to increase, they're going to be interested in what you've got to say and what's going on. So circle number 2, you still always leave an impression of increase. She talked about leaving an impression of increase by tipping really large at the table, by giving really good gifts, by showing like what increase looks like in your life, not just financially, but like speaking things like you're learning in these kind of sessions to people that are not in Young Living business, or that are not growing a business, that are in a different circle, that don't even get this yet, and leaving that oh my gosh, she made me feel so good about myself. That's leaving an impression of increase on people. All right, now circle number 3. Circle number 3 made me cry big time. Circle number 3 is this circle, okay? And when you're starting this, whatever this is, if it's not a Young Living business, if it's whatever, if you're starting to do something that is against the mold, something that is a big goal or a big dream of yours, but it scares you to pieces, these are the people that are always on your team. These are the people that don't pour all the logic on your brain when you're trying to dream big, but that jump in with you. She gave this example. She said, these are the people that you say, I'm going to be a deep sea welder. I'm going to school to be a deep sea welder, and I'm going to do this. And she says, those are the people that are like, yes, you are going to do it. You're going to be so good at that. I can just see you doing it. She was being silly. She was like, you almost drowned in the kiddie pool last week, but I don't care. I'm going to buy you a life jacket because you are going to be the best deep sea welder that ever existed, and I'm going to watch you do it, and I'm going to cheer for you, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to make sure that you know that I am here for you. Those are who are in your circle number 3. Those are the people that you say these things to. And sometimes it's scary. Oh my gosh, what if I don't know which circle they're in? Well, you'll find out pretty quickly. But I'll tell you what, if you have nobody in that circle, maybe you thought of one person. I thought of Trisha, and I started crying. Thought of Cindy, and I started crying. Those are the 2 that I knew from the beginning. They were always in my court. They never saw anything less from me than doing it. Whew, gosh, I'm getting all flustered. But she says, if you have nobody in your circle number 3, you know who goes there? You. You put your name in that circle. And while you're trying to navigate all of this, remember this, okay? That circle number 3 is going to put the things in your unconscious mind. Y'all don't know how many times this has happened to me where I'm like, this is not going to happen. I'm never going to get there. I'm going to be executive forever. I'm going to have to go back to work. I'm going to have to do this. And I would call Trisha. Good Lord. And she'd be like, yes, you can. What are you talking about? You're right there. Look how close you are. You're like this close. Why would you even say that? Why would you even believe that? Every time I try to emotionalize with failure, I have a circle 3 person tell me that I'm crazy and that I just can't see the other side. It's right here. It's right there. Okay. Whew. Okay. I got to get through this. Isn't that good? Are you writing people down? And I'll tell you, if you're on this call right here in this little group right here and you've got nobody in that circle number 3, you better write my name. Thank you, Charlie. You better write my name in your circle. And I got Charlie in my circle. You better write my name in your circle because you can do this. If you will work on you and you will allow your imagination to run instead of your doubt and your fear and your worry, then you can do anything. God, there's so much scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Put Jesus in your circle, people. Come on. But you want people who have him speaking life over you in that 3rd circle. Okay. My upper lip is sweating. It's official. This is a good one. Alrighty. What else do I want to make sure you guys hear? Don't emotionalize with defeat. Don't do it. Practice this every time you feel it creep up. Brene Brown calls it shame. It's the same thing. When you feel the shame, like whatever your symptoms of feeling shame are, mine are my throat gets clogged up. I get hot. I feel like I'm going to cry and bawl. Come on, white balance. Quit doing that there. Don't emotionalize with it. Attack that thing. Nope. Get quiet and do something about it. Okay. We're shifting mindsets here. We're erasing this negativity. All right. So, what is the biggest thing holding you back from living the life that you deserve? I have a hard time with that too. Do I deserve? Right? Because I was raised with grace and mercy where there are things we deserve that we don't get. And that's my personal belief with Jesus Christ, right? But what has he called me into in the abundant life, right? Above and I can't even think of the scripture. The life that's above and beyond anything that I can think, imagine, or dream. That's living the abundant life. That's living the things that God's called you to, guys. The people that think past their current circumstances are the ones that change the world. They're the ones who become the Heidi Bakers. I don't know if y'all know who that is. Those are the ones who become like the Kisses from Katie. The people who do bigger things than what they have imagined in their past. The Wright Brothers. The people who have created things that changed the face of this earth. Okay? All right. Our biggest thing holding us back is our weakness of attention and poverty of imagine. So we don't have enough imagination. We don't pay attention enough to the things that come up in our mind and in our heart of what we want differently. She says, I failed to imagine my life exactly the way I wanted it. I'm not going to read this whole booklet because we'll be on here for a while. But she says, when you wake up in the morning, number one, protect your frequency. Protect this feeling that you feel right now, when you're excited and when you feel like you could go, run a marathon or enroll every person down the street because you want to tell them about a better life, or tell all these people on your team about this as a business opportunity because you want to see them doing better. Protect that energy. There are so many things that happen in our environment that bring us down. There are people that do it. There are situations, there's stressors. So protect your vibration is what you carry in. And it gives you your energy zing. Like every time you teach a class, get yourself excited. Look over this stuff. And she had us write down this really cool little thing about vibration. You can't attract what you're not, right? You can't attract the things that you are not. So you have to imagine yourself and what it feels like to be that. So for someone building a Young Living business, she had us write down all of the ranks, executive to Royal Crown Diamond, and what frequency we feel like we would resonate at each of those. It's perceptual, right? It's just based on what you think. It's not like an actual thing. And every day you're going to resonate with that, right? RCD. Do I feel like I'm resonating with this energy today? No. Then what do I need to do? I need to put on some oils. I need to pray. I need to think myself clear. I need to get filled up with good things with the Word of God personally. I need to listen to someone encourage me on YouTube. Go listen to some of these videos, y'all. They're awesome. Bob Proctor, Proctor Gallagher Institute. There's one about imagination. There's one about energy and the law of attraction. There's one about visioning, like how you actually create vision. But get emotionally involved with that feeling, what it would feel like today to be the thing that you are called to be, right? What we need to do is focus on what you really desire and deserve. You deserve to win. You deserve a tribe who will hold you and let you shine. You deserve unwavering support, and you deserve unconditional love. Y'all, we were created for unconditional love. I love you, Samantha. Yes. Yes, you were created for that. That's what your body actually desires and craves, is love. It's searching for it. You're created in imperfection, born into an imperfect world, right? You're born into a sinful world that is constantly taking from you. So be that change. Walk through this world with love as your motivation. There was something, and I didn't get back to it. I had a thought the other day. What if everything I did was motivated by love and not fear? Everything. From the person I call on the phone to tell them about Young Living Starter Kit, to homeschooling my kids, to cleaning my home, to making a meal for my husband. That's what we're called to do, right? That's what we're called to be. When we start to do that, guess what? That's what we're planting in that unconscious mind. It's a garden that's going to grow and flourish with these things that are motivated by love and motivated by pursuing the things that are in our heart to do. That's all that is. And I am very yellow, Samantha. Can you tell? Okay. Let's see what else I want to tell you and kind of end this with before my battery dies. Oh, back to that. Okay. Self-image, subconscious mind. All senses play a role in your thoughts, right? These thoughts, true or false, when formed, enter through the conscious mind, like I showed you, where your education, experience form the reality we choose, and from there it moves into the subconscious mind. We choose the reality that we get from all of the things that come into that conscious mind. It's a choosing. Choose you this day whom you'll serve. Choose life or death. It goes with my emotions class like no other. I almost said no other mother, and I just said it. And there's the key. What are you asking for? What are you asking for? What mindset do you have? Whatever mindset you have, that's what you're asking for from this life. What are you asking for? Ask and you shall receive, right? Knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. There's so much scripture in this. It makes me excited. But what are you asking for? Are you asking for a life of misery? Are you asking for a life of worry, of disease, of sickness, of frustration? What are you asking? If that's the thing that you're meditating on, that's what you're putting out there, that's what you're going to get. And guess what? You're going to attract a whole bunch of other people that are doing the same thing. No. No, no, no. Bye, Felicia. I love you. Get your mindset right. Go, go, go. Go, go, sweet friend. Go find your mindset and get it right. I can't do that. I can't entertain that. Don't let those little things right? What does the Bible says? The little foxes that spoil the vine. The little those little things, those little subconscious words, those little things. Yeah, that'll happen for her, but it won't happen for you. That happened to me in an AFT session. That was my little fox. It was something that was constantly rolling. It might happen for everybody else, but history shows that nothing ever happens for you and your family. That's a lie. Okay? Get rid of that intention. What are you resonating at? Here's the other thing. Someone's life changes every 6 months. Did y'all know that? And this has to do with, you know, helping others, bringing others into this thing with you. Someone's life changes every 6 months, whether it is a family crisis, a financial crisis, death, job change. Keep bringing people on this journey with you. Do not get stuck in the mindset that you are doing this by yourself and then you have no one to add to it. I just felt like I needed to throw that into this. And she also said, it does not help you if your mind is 50% one place and 50% another place. I struggle with this too in my mindset. Sometimes I'm so worried about what I didn't get done or who I'm leaving behind or what I'm not doing at home that I'm not fully present when I'm trying to help people right here, right now. So that's another thing. Start to think yourself clear. No, this is the truth. I am not being XYZ. I am being this. I'm not being neglectful. I am being productive right now. All right? So I want you to do this. Go back to that list we did. If you don't know what I talked about at the beginning, go back and rewind it. I'm going to kind of cut this off so it's not too long for people to watch. Get your circles. Get your 3 circles written out. Make note of who those people are. And that's something you don't have to share with anybody. You don't have to tell people all this stuff. It's for you to help you keep your mind right, right? Get quiet. Go back to the goals that you intended to achieve last year that you never did, and figure out what that root thing in your intention, in your unconscious mind, what is it that's the grand theme in all of that. And let's get rid of that crap, man. Let's erase it. There is a whole thing you can do with essential oils that helps with that. It's another class for another time. But I just want you to start saying, yes, I can. I can, I will, I do. Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Yes, I do. Say it over and over again. Wake up every morning saying that, because we're already in the deficit on believing in ourselves because of our society and just life. So you're going to start having to fill up that piggy bank, right? Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Yes, I do. Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Yes, I do. Speak it over your kids. Speak it over your husband. Think about the people around you. She said too, how do you think about your team? How do you think about yourself, but how do you also think about your team? You will start to cause to happen in them the things that you're thinking over them, right? So I'm going to close with this. That's what my dad used to say when he would preach. I'm going to close with this. Protect your frequency. Look at what it is that you are manifesting in your physical life right now and figure out where that's coming from. And always, always, always believe that you can. Don't let the negative voices cloud out the positivity that God's put inside of you. All right, are you feeling more empowered, guys? Unstoppable, confident. Let's keep going, okay? Keep doing this. Keep pouring in. This is just step 1 of this whole thing. And I love this. God will not put a dream in your heart that you can't hold in your hand. He gives us the desires of our heart. He gave it to you, right? Here, have this desire. This is yours. So now do it. Don't squander it. Don't die full. My dad used to say the richest place on earth is the graveyard because of all the dreams and all the purpose that go to rest there that never happen. Don't do it. Okay, I'm going to go cry some tears and we're going to accomplish this day. Did you guys like that? Share this with somebody on your team. Let them come watch this. It'll be in this group, but it'll always be in the Good Oilers underneath the events page, and they can come back and watch it. All right, I love you guys. I'm in your circle 3. You can do this, and you're going to. Bye.